welcome to Teacher to Designer. And my name is Cassandra Millard, and I am a former educator who left the classroom in June of 2022 to enter the field of learning and development as a corporate instructional designer. And in today's video, we are going back to the basics. A lot of you have been asking me, what is actually instructional design? What does the role consist of? What are the realities? So in today's video, this is what I'm going to share with you all. So stay tuned. Instructional design is the systematic and intentional process of creating learning experiences that are both engaging and effective. So it is more than just creating learning materials or activities. It's really about understanding how people learn, what motivates people to actually learn, and how, with the kind of experiences that we are presenting to our learners, we can influence change. So there are several work settings that may be suited for you depending on your interests. So if you are perhaps an educator who's trying to leave the classroom but still wants to have an impact in education, you might choose to work for a tech company. So think about all of the apps, tools, software that you've been using in the past within your classroom. Well, as an instructional designer, you might be called to actually offer learning experiences, curriculum, tutorial videos on how to use these tools within the classroom, or the benefits that these tech tools might offer to a school or a district. Another way too is to work in higher education, so in college and university. So you would be supporting professors in delivering their course materials to students who are of adult age. Then there is also the corporate setting, which is where I work. So you can work in a variety of companies, whether these are organizations such as healthcare, such as the government, such as banking, finance, tourism, you name it, or pharmaceutical. There are so many companies that actually need people in the learning and development field for different reasons, either to offer learning experiences to their employees or their customers, their patients, or the community that they serve. And you could also decide to do freelancing. So as an entrepreneur, you're the one who would be selecting or choosing the kind of contractual work that would come to you. Let's talk about the process. In instructional design, you can use many models or processes to achieve a certain learning objective. But regardless of the model you use or process, they all start the same. The first thing, which is crucial, is to conduct a needs analysis. This is where you're going to spend time to ask the right questions and gather the data, have interviews with stakeholders or anybody who is of value that can bring insight into what is actually going on, what is the need of our audience, who is our audience, what is their background, their experiences, what are the challenges that they're facing, and why are they facing these challenges. So here you're asking a bunch of questions and gathering data in order to understand if there's a need, first of all, and if training is actually the best way to offer a solution to this problem. And you're also trying to understand the goals so that you can define the learning outcomes of this learning experience that you are going to design. Once you have concluded that training is actually the solution to this problem, you are going to move on to the design phase, where you're going to define the learning objectives and the learning outcomes. You're going to also design the assessments and evaluations that you're going to use in order to ensure that your learners actually have met the goals that were defined. You're going to actually start selecting the instructional materials that will be built later on in this process. So this is also a part of the process where you need to take your time to correctly define the objectives, define the goals, clearly also define what kind of activities are you going to use to determine if at the end of this all, was the learning experience effective or not. Once everything is defined, you are moving to the development phase. So this is where you're creating. This is the fun part, which is usually very long, depending on the extent of or the topic that you're working on. So this is where you're going to create interactive videos, instructional videos. Maybe you're going to create an e-learning course using an authoring tool such as Articulate Storyline or Rise 360. So this is where you are actually producing the work. Then comes the implementation phase. So this is sometime done by the instructional designer, or sometime it is done by a corporate trainer or facilitator, a consultant. In my case, I do not deliver or implement my instructional materials. The only type of implementation that I would do would be to insert them or upload the e-learning courses that I have designed and developed into an LMS. An LMS is a learning management system. So if you're an educator, you've been using LMS without even knowing that it was a learning management system. So these portals that you've been using to check in your students, to upload their grades, to upload activities, quizzes, assessments, these are LMS. This is what we call an LMS. This is where I register my learners. I also can track the completion rate, and I can look for comments or reviews that they've left on the course. Then it's the evaluation phase. The evaluation phase is actually done on several occasions, depending on, again, the type of project, the goals of your course. But this is where you're going to actually deliver, present the assessments, the evaluation that you have designed at the beginning of the course. This is when you're going to deliver them to your learners to see if your learners actually understood or able to meet the goals or learning outcomes that were defined at the beginning of the process of the instructional design process. So what's the difference between teaching and instructional design? There is this myth that instructional design and teaching are actually the same. Well, I'm here to tell you that they're actually not. There are a very big difference between being a K-12 educator and being an instructional designer who has to create learning experiences and resources for adult learners. Unlike traditional teaching roles that you may have as an educator that focuses often on delivering content, in instructional design, you will take more of a holistic approach in how you are involved in the entire process of creating a learning material. What I mean by that is that as an instructional designer, you wear a lot of hats. You are the one that needs to consider the needs, the preferences, the background, the challenges of your learners, as well as in what type of context will the learning take place. Will it be virtually? Will it be in person? Will it be self-paced? So as an instructional designer, you really have a more holistic approach, and also you're involved in mostly all of the phase of the instructional design process. The only phase that oftentimes I see instructional designers sometimes are involved or not is the implementation phase, depending on the context, the working environment you're in. And as an instructional designer, you are really going to strive to create experiences that are not only informative, but are also engaging, interactive, and meaningful. They have to be meaningful. Why is that? Because as an adult learner, you want to know, why am I sitting here during my work hours going through this training? How is this going to impact my performance, the reality of the task or responsibilities that I have as somebody working within a company or organization. So I would say if you are somebody who enjoys collaborating in multidisciplinary functional teams, you have a passion for lifelong learning, and you want your work to actually have an impact on the performance of a lot of individuals, then instructional design is perhaps something for you. And I would add, definitely, if you enjoy working with technology, I would consider instructional design. If you're interested into learning more about instructional design, how to transition into this field, well, follow Teacher to Designer